Okay, so Ellis Mark has stuck to a deadline and now released episode 2 of Catching Up. And honestly, out of the 2 episodes, I think that this one is probably the better one. Mark and Veronica have done a seriously great job with this series so far. And honestly, given all the shit they've been through this year, I'm surprised that this episode is even this good. By the way, if you didn't get what I mean, well, I'll leave a link to one of Mark's videos in the description down below for you. That's right, everybody's favourite animated cat and mouse duo are back. No, the indie animated one. There you go. That's right, Rob and Clay have escaped Mark's dungeon again, and they're back with another adventure. And this time, Rob's brother is joining in the shenanigans with Roy, voiced by Scott the Woz, who, if you're like me, might be asking yourself,
who?
But don't worry, because after about 15 minutes worth of Googling, I eventually found out. Honestly, Scott and pretty much every voice actor in this series does a really good job with the stuff they're given. And to be honest, the stuff they're given is really pretty good as well. I remember seeing the Catching Up pilot a year ago and thinking that the pilot was really well made and that the series had a lot of good potential. As a story on its own, I really appreciated that episode took its time to establish its characters and world. Really, just by watching that episode and that pilot, I realised that Mark definitely had a good idea for what he wanted out of the series, what he wanted the characters to be, and what he wanted the world to be. And I definitely saw a lot of the inspirations that he was drawing on for his series and his stories. And really, I think he established so much of the groundwork for his series with that pilot, that with this episode he was able to just relax a bit and focus a bit more on his own style of comedy. And honestly, that might have to be my favourite aspect of this newest episode. The original pilot that Mark put out a year ago was funny, but with this episode I definitely think that Mark was given more time to actually focus on his comedy and really infuse a lot of the story with his own unique sense of humour. And this is something that I think really worked hand in hand with the episode's shorter runtime. Yes, episode 2 of Catching Up is slightly shorter than the pilot, and this is something that I think Mark and Veronica are committing to for the rest of the series. And honestly, so long as the episodes are this continuously funny, then I probably won't have a problem with this. I have seen people arguing online whether or not shorter or longer runtimes are better for animated series like these, but really I think that a lot of the time it just comes down to personal preference in the end, and honestly I think that whatever is better or easiest for Mark and Veronica would probably be the best way to go. And really my personal opinion is that I didn't mind the shorter runtime and still thought that the episode was pretty great. Now, given that the episode has only recently come out, I don't want to talk about the story in this video. Instead, I'd much rather people just head over to Mark's channel and check out the episode for themselves. Instead, I'll just give you an oversimplified explanation of the story and we'll go from there. Okay, so episode 2, Clay gets hit by a truck.
I wonder if she remembers me. Oh, she's waving at me. That's gotta be a good thing, right? Is that a good thing?
We meet Rob's brother.
I will do anything for money. The statements still stand!
And shenanigans ensue. Watching this episode, I definitely noticed a difference in pacing and tone from the first episode. Do I call it the first episode or do I just call it the pilot? Because we're calling this episode 2. I'm just going to keep with calling it whichever. But yes, in this episode I definitely noticed a difference in the tone and pacing, which honestly is something that I definitely enjoyed. Really, in comparing this episode to the pilot, I definitely feel as if the pilot was kinda stretching the story a little. And really, going back and watching the pilot again, I definitely feel as if Mark and Veronica definitely had a good idea for what they wanted for their pilot. But sometimes it does feel as if they were kinda just stretching the story a bit to meet a minimum 20 minutes for that pilot. Really, having seen the behind the scenes materials for the pilot and this episode, I definitely understood what Mark and Veronica were thinking with the runtimes for both this episode and the pilot. And honestly, I do think that whatever's easiest for Mark and Veronica in making the series should probably be what they stick with. And again, having seen this episode, I do think that the shorter runtimes will actually be a good benefit to this series. Especially if moving on from the pilot, Mark and Veronica want to keep this sort of tone and pacing for the rest of the series. And really, I thought it was great to see Rob and Clay again in this episode. Back with the pilot, I feel like Clay was a little run down a lot of the time and really didn't get that much time to shine. But in this episode, I feel as if Clay was a bit more upbeat and a bit more energetic, and I feel like that really made me identify and connect with his character a bit more. And yes, my boy did get hit by that truck pretty bad. And hey, I had a green machine like that when I was a kid, but I never thought to actually carry any of my wounded friends around in it. Those lazy bastards could walk. And yeah, it was good to see these two characters again. And honestly, I feel like it's this episode that has really got me believing in their friendship. Again, in going back to the pilot, I could see what they were going for with the friendship between these two characters, but really with the tone of that episode, I didn't quite understand what the friendship was. But here though, I think that the tone and story of this episode really helps to flesh out the friendship between the two of them. And also with this episode, we of course got some good character work for a few side characters. Characters like of course Rob's brother Roy and his father, in addition to another character called Angie. And honestly, I think episode 2 has done a good job to establish those characters, and I am looking forward to seeing where those characters go in the future. So I really enjoyed the story and characters of episode 2, but really one of the things I enjoyed the most has to be the animation and the visuals. Really, I thought that the animation for both the pilot and this episode has been pretty phenomenal, but still I do enjoy the animation in this episode better than I do in the pilot. And really, I think that the reason for that has to be that the colours in this episode are just a bit more vibrant. Again, in going back to the pilot and comparing it to this episode, I definitely feel as if the pilot had some great animation. However, something that I noticed as a difference between the two had to be that the pilot had a few more washed out or drier looking scenes, whilst here in episode 2 I definitely felt as if a lot of the backgrounds were a bit more consistently bright and vibrant. Which again isn't too much of a big difference between the two, but is still something that I noticed and something that I enjoyed. And really, one last thing I've got to say about the animation is that I am so impressed with just how great it looks. I myself have only briefly dabbled in 2D puppet animation, and putting rigs together is something that I find, well, really quite difficult. And here I am just so continuously impressed with just how much movement and fluidity they get out of the animation. And really, it's stuff like this that makes me want to agree with Mark, because 2D puppet animation like this isn't inherently cheap. And Mark's proved that with this series, and other people have proved it with their own series as well. Really, it's just that a lot of the time, 2D puppet animation like this isn't used for great looking series like this. Instead, it's used for just, your typical cheap looking stuff that you'd probably find on a YouTube ad. So really, I'm glad that Mark and Veronica are continuing this series and putting something out there for puppet animation fans to be proud of. And that is my little review for episode 2 of Catching Up. So please, everybody, I'll leave a link to the episode in the description down below so that you can go check it out for yourselves. And hey, if you've seen the episode already, then please leave me a comment down below and tell me what you thought of the episode. Thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to do any of the usual YouTube stuff, like, subscribe and comment. And I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.